Almost.
The flag is going to appear on the screen.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing.
All right. First of all, I want to welcome you to the Rotary Club of Florence, serving all Boone County. Mark is going to do our pledge, prayer, and four-way test.
All right. And before we pray, Marcus, your son's doing okay in Fort Myers?
You survived.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
thank
lot
you,
of
Francie.
damage to the house
Wow,
and maybe
yeah.
to the church.
Yeah.
All right. Let's pray. Lord, we're grateful for the many blessings you bestow on us, but also we need to pray for those who are in need. We think of Marcus's son there in Fort Myers, and many families will be mourning the loss of the loved ones during this tragedy of the hurricane. Bless our time together here in our fellowship, and thank you for a club here that values service above self. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
okay, let's do this. Number one,
Is it the truth?
number two, is it
Fair
fair?
to all concerned?
Number three,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
number four.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right. Thank you, Mark.
I don't see visitors, so we'll just give big thanks to everybody here for helping us out with the Rotary outing. We had 15 foursomes, we had 17 paid. I'll say the two that missed out on a great day. And we couldn't do it without all the volunteers. Carrie's asked me just to give you a little brief synopsis. So when we come back together, we made a little bit of money.
Good.
In the words of Gilby Green, a treasurer that was here many, many years ago, a local educator, we did okay.
Announcements for our Rotary Club. Just to let you know, a reminder, World Polio Day is October 24th. New Perceptions is our third quarter community service partner. And don't forget to invite friends and colleagues to our meetings. Happy Dollars. We've come to that point in our meeting where if you have something that you want to shout about, say it's good. I know Dwayne, you have one.
I don't only have a happy buck, but I have a zowie, powie, wow, unbelievable happy buck.
All
About
right.
$5.
That, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So when I was president, I always put down reach goals. And one of my reach goals was a hand up non-traditional scholarship program. And it was one of the programs that I worked on throughout my presidency. Adam Howard really picked up the ball. We've got $10,000 from John and Connie Sawyers in their endowments. Adam was able to raise roughly $16,000. Then the foundation put up $4,000. So we wrote a check to Gateway for $30,000. But wait, there's more.
All right.
Gateway had a federal foundation grant that they were able to match that. So we now have with the Florence Rotary, the Salyers Foundation grant, and we'll be kicking that off sometime in the middle of November. But it's just unbelievable that we now have a $60,000 within.
That's terrific.
Gateway.
Dwayne, do you want me to give a little bit more about what that money is going to be used
Sure.
for? Or, okay. So what this is going to Gateway for any students that are there at Gateway that might need just a helping hand with something to continue their education. It might be to buy their books.
Right.
It might be to pay for the certification test that they do. It might even be maybe a little help with their electric bill that particular month. So this is really a helping hand to students coming from the Rotary Club and John and Connie Sellers. So I think this is a great thing. Definitely worth, or was it the $5 we said you owed for Happy Bucks? All right, any other happy dollars? No? No? All right. You are our speaker. Oh, I am. I wasn't sure who it was. There we go. There you go.
So it's my pleasure today to introduce Jennifer Inman. Jennifer is with the Kentucky Empowerment Corporation. And I first learned, of course, I've got a story. I first learned about the Kentucky Empowerment Corporation back when my son was a sophomore last year. He was taking a dual credit class through Northern Kentucky University. It was financial literacy. And Mrs. Inman was teaching the class, and she had arranged for a field trip down to Frankfurt. And so we got to meet Allison Ball and tour kind of the Treasury office and talk to her. And we toured the Capitol and a couple other things. And I learned about the Financial Empowerment Commission. So kind of had been following it. Matthew Fry was kind of heading it up at that time. And over the summer, I learned that Jennifer took over the position. And they're doing a lot of great work with cities and different things. And Jennifer is a certified dual credit instructor. And as my daughter would say, she's one of her besties, which shows you the impact she has on kids. Because my daughter also took the financial literacy class. So I'm going to welcome Jennifer.
All right, well, thank you. I'll show you my PowerPoint. Let me just tell you a little bit about me, and then I want to share a lot about the Kentucky Financial Empowerment Commission. So I spent about 25 years in the business sector, primarily in finance. I ran an accounting department for a manufacturing facility. I worked for a not-for-profit organization that was focused on education. And I ran 5 bank branches in my small town. In doing each of those roles, time and time again, I found myself across the desk or on a couch beside someone who was in tears, distraught, didn't know why they had such terrible financial dilemmas. And I felt like more and more of my free time was being spent helping people understand that the decisions that they made were causing these outcomes. And as a banker, I found myself denying more and more and more loans. And then as I went into commercial banking, it became even harder for people to get loans. And I really wanted to do something to help people through that and understand how they could actually make a difference in their own lives. This wasn't someone else's fault, but it was very sad to me that they didn't realize until they were denied that they actually couldn't afford it. Because they would come to me thinking, I can make the payment, so obviously I'm in good financial standing. But in reality, it was very bleak. So in having these experiences and in working with people out of passion, I decided to shift my career to education. I really wanted to nip it before people became adults. So my goal was to go into high school and become an educator and help students understand how to make wise decisions, how to manage their money early, before they had real money that they had to manage. And that's how I landed at Untitled High School as a business teacher. I did teach financial literacy as a dual credit for Northern Kentucky University. And through the work that I was doing at the high school, it's never enough. It's just never, ever enough. But I was asked to write curriculum for the Kentucky Financial Empowerment Commission through NKU to be able to go out and do workshops for financial literacy. So I've been working with them for about a year, and then Matt Fry, who was the executive director, took a different role. his role is more political, where I have no desire to pursue politics. So he approached me and said, you know, you have a heart for this. You want to make a difference, and you have the knowledge and experience to back it up. Will you please apply? Well, my initial reaction was, no, I can't leave the classroom. Like, those students are just amazing. And when you see that light bulb go off, and you see them really grasp the information, and then they come back and they tell you stories about how they applied it, about the negotiation tactics they did when they were buying their car, or how they saved up and met a savings goal that they made in class, and they beat the time that they set for achieving that goal. It just makes you know that you're making a difference. So it was really tough for me to decide to actually apply for this position. But the more that I talked to Matt, and the more I saw what the commission was doing and what they were capable of, the more I realized I can still make an impact. I can still be with students, I can still teach, but I can do it to a broader audience. So thankfully, by the grace of God, I was appointed the executive director of the Kentucky Financial Empowerment Commission August 1st. So this is the start of my third month. I have 60 days under my belt, and it has been a wild and rewarding ride. So now I want to talk to you about the commission. You know who I am, and hopefully you'll see that I am extremely passionate and excited about the work that I get to do. See if I can figure out how to use the clicker. I am just switch over here.
Do you have your clicker?
I switch. Yep, I switch. All right, there we go.
New setup, sorry.
Figure it all out, right? Okay, so our story isn't very old. The commission is pretty new. In 2018, Treasurer Ball, you would not believe the dedication that she has to Kentuckians when it comes to financial literacy. We meet every Monday and we strategize and we talk about the good work that can be done. But she is committed to making sure that financial literacy is at the forefront of everyone's thought and action. So in 2018, House Bill 132 set into law mandating that financial literacy be taught to all Kentucky high schoolers. That is huge. Not every state has that, but many have followed in our footsteps. So what that means is that in the year 2024, if a student has not completed financial literacy, they don't get to graduate. Now, we want them to complete, and we're going to make sure that not only do they complete this, but they do it based on standards that are set by the Kentucky Department of Education. So it's not just fluff. We're giving them quality education that they can actually use throughout their life. Then in 2019, House Bill 139 created the Kentucky Financial Empowerment Commission. And her goal in doing that was to be sure that the resources and materials and access was provided to these schools, to the teachers, to students, but to other areas of Kentucky. Now we're continuing to grow and develop our niche as a financial education convener. So here's our focus groups. My job, and I'm a one-man show, I'll tell you right off, I'm a not-for-profit. I have a .gov email, but I am not paid by the state of Kentucky. I am paid by fundraising, just like every other not-for-profit. So the work I do has a lot of passion, but through that passion, I'll continue to do that work. I'll make it happen. So our focus is Commonwealth students and teachers. We have to focus on both. We can't just say the students need to have this education without focusing on making sure that the teachers have what they need to deliver that. Kentuckians with disabilities. This is a huge area of need because many of them are receiving funding or resources, but they don't have the ability to use that money. They don't necessarily have bank accounts. They don't know what resources are available to them. So we want to empower them through knowledge. Low-income families. Wouldn't it be great if we could reduce the number of low-income families that we have? I know teaching at Boone County High School, we had a large percentage of free and reduced lunch. I saw firsthand the magnitude of coming from a low-income family had on those students and just their perspective on life. So being able to really focus on them, help them see how their choices will allow them to beat the odds, get themselves out of the low-income bracket, can be huge. And then veterans and military personnel, again, many of them drawing paychecks that they don't know how to access or what to do with. And many times others who don't necessarily have their best interests at heart, trying to help them with those funds. So providing resources and education to our veterans and our military personnel. Commonwealth Employees is another area that's near and dear to Treasurer Ball's heart. She wants to be sure that all of the employees that work for Kentucky are personally invested in their own financial futures, and that they have the knowledge and information. And this is where I got my start with the Kentucky Financial Empowerment Commission. So I'll talk to you about that a little more here in a bit. And then aging Kentuckians. We're all aging. We want to be sure that our money is working for us as we age. All right, so today's conversation. How long has it been since you evaluated your financial situation? Really evaluated it. Rolled up your sleeves, looked at every detail, and really evaluated it. Anybody willing to share?
To all.
To all. Okay, in the back, yes.
Yesterday, in New York.
Yay! Yes. I did your FAFSA, and that just opened, so you are on it. FAFSA is.
Look at my daughter. She was like, Mom, we have to do our FAFSA.
Yes, absolutely. I can see her. She's probably sending you reminders up until the day. Yes. FAFSA is one reason that we look at it. If you happen to be self-employed and you file long form, you're probably looking a little closer than many of us, but only if you're filing your own taxes. If you're sending it off to a CPA, you may not be looking at every detail. We just don't do it. We don't. And what we're learning as we go out and educate is that it doesn't matter your financial status, your personal situation, your income level, we can all benefit from this.
Sure.
There's a study that's been done over the last 6 years by the Global Financial Literacy Excellence Center. And what it shows is that in the last 6 years, they've gone out, they have a series of questions that they ask. And they're asking this of a broad range of demographics. So it's people of all ages, genders, economic status, education base, ethnicities. And what they're finding is that financial literacy is holding steady. And that's a terrible thing. Because they are scoring about 50% on these very basic general financial literacy questions. That's you and me in this room. We probably can't answer the basic general questions of financial literacy and score very well. Well, if you were in my classroom and I asked you the questions, which I did ask them, and Sophia got 100, by the way. We all do that though, right? 50%, what letter grade is that? It's an F. Yes, so our country is getting an F when it comes to financial literacy. We want the state of Kentucky to be different. We want to stand out. We want to score better. So that's my job. Now, we've all learned a few financial strategies along the way, right? I mean, we're experienced, we've been earning an income for a while, we've been spending money for a while. I remember as a little bitty girl, my grandparents owned a restaurant, and it was a family business. Everyone in the family had a part in that restaurant. It was just a cute little diner, but they were really successful. So I was there sweeping floors or carrying groceries. But my most favorite memories of that restaurant are being in the kitchen with my grandpa. Now, he was the most fantastic cook of all times. And I have all of his recipes, but it's a dash of this and a pinch of that. I can't do anything with them. I wish that he was in there teaching me how to cook. Now, my husband would say that I can cook, but not like my grandpa. What he was teaching me was strategies. He wanted to be sure that I was going to be financially successful. Now, we really didn't talk about money, so these were kind of private conversations that we had. And I knew that in order to make him proud, I needed to save money. Now, I'm not sure I really knew how to save it. I couldn't apply it, but I was little, like elementary school. But I love these little strategies that he would share with me. He would say, now, Jennifer, well, actually, where we lived, you went by two names. So I was Jennifer Joe. Jennifer Joe. And not because I was in trouble, that was just how we did it. When you get a job and you start looking for your first house, remember, you never want to buy a house that costs more than 2 years' salary. Well, that seems silly when I was in elementary school. But when I think about that now, and I look at all the houses that we've had over the course of our time, how many people apply that strategy? We tend to want bigger and better and more, but that's a pretty good one. Now, I wish that I had written them all down. I didn't. I didn't at all. Now, he did tell me, be sure that when you get your first job, always and forever, put 10% of it back. Keep that 10%, don't ever touch it. Now, even if I had just shoved it in a dresser drawer, I can't even fathom the amount of money that I would have right now. Now, add compound interest to that, I'd probably still be standing here, but I sure wouldn't need to. I've earned a lot of income over the course of time. What saddens me is so many kids don't have a grandfather that puts their arm around them and says, you need to think about this. So many of the students that I taught in high school had no one who was willing to talk about money. Now, for a variety of reasons, it creates a lot of anxiety. And if they don't know how to manage it themselves, that's embarrassing to share with your children. And who are you to be the expert or give them any advice if you can't do it yourself? So we have to broaden the conversation, not just teach it in high school, but share it with all Kentuckians. So what's one strategy you wish you had known about money when you were younger? Anybody willing to share? Yes.
The 15-30-20 rule,
Okay, you want to explain that?
where you live off, your expenses are based off of your income, and 50% is gonna go to your main expenses, 30% goes to your wants, and then 20% goes into savings.
Yes, yes. Who else will share? Any strategy you picked up over the course of time that you wish you knew when you were younger?
How much money you need by retirement, by just take what you think your monthly needs will be, times it by 12, times it by 24, and that will enable you to live off 4% and keep the bulk of the money there for a trust later on.
Anyone else will wish you? Yes.
So this is something that I wish I'd known when I was a kid, but, you know, I look at, you know, my hourly wage or, you know, thereabout, what, how long am I at work? So how long did I give my job in order to afford a particular thing? So then as I'm out, about, I see something, I'm like, oh man, that's pretty nice, I want that. How long was I at work in order to afford that item? And so if I'd done that when I was a little kid, like before working age, you don't have any perspective. But to apply that then to, oh wow, I don't need that toy or whatever, that would, talking about sitting on a pile of money, my God.
Right. Yeah, teaching trade-offs, helping kids understand trade-offs. And we were talking about library programs and how we have to start when they're tiny and just continue and continue and continue to irrigate. That's a term that I come from a farming community, so drip irrigation is a terminology that resonates with me. But honestly, talking to them early, really early. And I shared the story earlier that when my son, who's now about to get his driver's license, when he was before preschool, little baby, he used to sit on the floor and he would count coins and he would separate them out by denomination and he would count them. And some of our family would joke that, why are you teaching him this now? What are you going to teach him when he gets in school? And my husband instantly said, compound interest, of course. No doubt. So he has been drip irrigated financial literacy information his whole life, and he gets it. And we talk about it. But that's not the norm. So that's where it's important that we step in and make sure that it's accessible to people. So there's some simple steps to getting good with money. Be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, if you just brush over the ugly, you don't make positive change. Establish money goals. We all have goals when it comes to our work life, when it comes to our calendar, when it comes to losing weight. We need financial goals as well. Create a budget. How many of you have a tangible budget? Like one thing? Yes? Yes? Oh, I love this. I love this. Most people have a guideline. It's in their head. But to truly put it on paper and have a tangible budget is scary or time consuming or takes a lot of work or you have to get too many pieces of information. You wouldn't even believe the number of apps on your phone that make it easy. And it makes a difference. I love that so many of you actually have a budget. Make savings automatic. We've all shared how important those saving strategies are and how we should have used them a long time ago. Make it automatic. Boost your credit score. There are simple things you can do to almost instantaneously boost your credit score. Then use your score to leverage your loan rates. Don't give that money to the bank. Keep it in your pocket, right? And then protect your assets that you worked hard for and you want to protect them. And lastly, invest in your retirement. Now, all of you say, well, yeah, that's easy. I said that from the beginning. These are simple steps. What's sad to me is they're not simple for everyone. Or in concept, they look simple, but until someone has a way to actually put it into action, they're daunting. So that's where one of our focus groups comes into play. Commonwealth Employees. We've been able to go out and impact positively over 100 Commonwealth employees. We've done financial literacy workshops in their place of employment in Dayton, Bellevue, and Independence. And next month we'll be in Covington. Now, most of our work has been in Northern Kentucky because I was the presenter, but we do want to branch out throughout all of Kentucky. So we're looking to hire more presenters and be able to spread this to other parts. Now, we do this in conjunction with NKU so that the curriculum that we wrote is accredited. It's supported by them. And we basically hit on 8 very holistic topics. We do them as 1-hour sessions twice a week, and employees get to do this while they're at work. The employers understand how important this is, and they want their employees to show up. So they offer it while they're there at work. Now, what I love about this, it's not a presentation like today. It's a workshop. They're working. They're doing something with the information. And the first step in that is breaking down those barriers, because who wants to sit with the people they work with and talk about money? Most people don't. It's stressful. You don't want to share. You don't want to spill your guts about what your checkbook looks like, right? We don't do that. But we do strategize, and we use tools to be able to put ourselves in a better financial situation. So it's 8 workshops, 1 hour at a time, 2 a week. So we're done in a month. And the Kentucky Financial Empowerment Commission has been able to have donors supply gift cards. So we pay them $25 in Amazon gift cards for each one that they attend, just as a way to incentivize them to show up. What I love is most of our great conversations continue. So those 1 hour sessions usually last about 1 hour and 45 minutes, because everyone stays around and they talk and they share ideas and they strategize and they share their experiences, or they come back to the next session and they want to be sure that everyone knows, here's what I did with that information. So it's been beautiful to see that it really does help. And it doesn't matter if you are the firefighter or the city manager. They're getting something out of it. It doesn't matter if you make $25,000 a year or you make $250,000 a year. There are things that each of us can do to improve our financial situation. So the next focus group that's so near and dear to my heart, as a former teacher, the state mandate that requires financial literacy actually creates a bit of a burden. Because when we look at school budgets, they're already tight. Now we have teacher shortages, and we have lots of situations that really limit what schools can do as far as providing financial education. So in theory, I would love to see every school in the entire state be able to hire a teacher to come in and teach financial literacy to every student. But in reality, that can't happen yet. Now, are we working on it? Yes, absolutely. That's the ultimate goal. But in the meantime, the KFEC wants to find ways that those students still have very good education, quality, rigorous education. And not just sit them in front of a computer where they click through a few programs, but tailor that to something that interests them. So we partnered with Commonwealth Credit Union for this particular project, and it's really the platform hybrid that is so dynamic. We've spent the last year really making sure that every component of this online program meets our needs. That it not only fulfills the Kentucky standards for financial literacy, but KFEC standards for financial literacy. And all of these partners that Matt Fry, who was the prior executive director, worked so diligently with for the last year, probably cringed when I walked in the room because I had a lot of questions. And I was a bit skeptical. And I think Matt was probably as unnerved as anyone, because he's like, I've been working on this for a year. It's like, but you're not an educator who's been in a classroom teaching financial literacy. And this is important. They can't just check a box. They need to really learn. And we finally launched it last week. It finally met KFEC standards, and we were able to launch it. And what I love is that if a student is going to be learning about a particular topic, they'll have a series of learning modules that they can choose from. And then within those modules, they can customize how the topic is presented to them. So let's say I want to learn about saving money, but right now all I can think about is I really want my family to buy a dog. I just want a dog. I don't care about saving money, I just want a dog. Their saving money lesson can be, you can type in dogs, And it's geared toward how to save money to buy a dog. It makes it resonate with them because it makes it personal. And then they can actually take it home to their family and say, hey, this is how we can save money and buy a dog. So they may get the dog or do some negotiation for a dog, but they learn how to use saving techniques. So I love this platform as an online platform because it does customize it by user. It gives them the ability to set their path and learn about things they're interested in. And we're already making an impact. So we launched it last week, and these are the schools that we already have signed up. So 14 in 1 week. Now, the irony is we were hoping for 20 by the end of the year. I think in 1 week, if we got 14, we've not done any type of promotion other than to email all of the business teachers throughout the state of Kentucky and hope that they read their email. That was it. They're reading, they're listening, and they're responding. So the response has been amazing. Now, I can tell you that I turned my email off today, but as I pulled in, I took a quick peek. I believe there's 2 more, but I didn't want to get too involved in the emails, so I didn't read them thoroughly. But I know for a fact that we launched 14 schools. The next group is one that we're still working on, but it's so exciting. Kentuckians with disabilities. Now, we think of all sorts of types of different disabilities, but I think this is a very unique way for us to make a huge difference. So I'm talking with a teacher in Clark County who teaches students with visual impairments, and she works with teachers throughout the entire state. So these are kids that, for the most part, are blind. She wants to teach them about financial literacy. And she has this heart for giving them experiences that students who have perfect vision have, and finding ways to try to make that same experience available to her students. So if any of you have ever experienced a reality fair, remember going to a reality fair in school when you were a kid? Reality fair is a way to set up an experience for typically like middle school, early high school age students, so that they can experience what it's like to have a job, earn a certain amount of money, and then have all sorts of bills that they have to pay. So they learn to be an adult in a simulation, and then they realize, oh, well, how can I survive if I only make this much money and I have all these, why do I have to pay all these bills? I didn't know my family had utility bills, or I didn't know that if somebody got sick, I'd have to pay to go to the doctor, or even a car costs that much money to drive, those types of experiences. So these kids who are visually impaired would have a very chaotic experience if they were to go to a reality fair. Because you go from station to station, and you're either accepting money as payment for work that you've done, or you're paying money for the bills that you owe. Well, that's difficult to do if you can't see. So what we're doing is creating a visually impaired reality fair. Well, they'll be able to do all of this through sound and braille, and still learn all of those financial literacy lessons that come with a reality fair. So I'm very excited to see this unfold and to work with this group of educators to be able to offer this experience. But this is just one of many. There are too many, should I say, irons in the fire, too many ideas and concepts and programs that are at their infancy stage for me to even begin to share with you today. But I think that you at least get a sense of my passion and the type of work that we're able to do. So I want to go back to that question that I asked you. How would that strategy that you wish you knew when you were younger change your financial situation today? I know for me, I would be in a completely different tax bracket had I used any of those strategies that my grandfather shared with me. And I wish that I would have, but I also wish that there had been a lot more than just him trying to help educate me when it comes to finances. And sadly, he was no longer in my life when I had money to spend and save. So I'm sure he was then there reinforcing it. But somehow it slips through the cracks with education. Thankfully, it's back in. Now we can make a difference, but we have a whole lot of catching up to do. You're in charge. And that's what I want all Kentuckians to know. They're in charge of their financial destination. And when you plan your journey, you get an opportunity to tell your money what to do instead of wondering where it went. How many times do you look in your wallet or check your balance in your account and you think, whew, what did I spend that money on? We can be in charge. We can tell our money how to work for us. I would be remiss if I didn't share with you that I have lots of supporters. Now, in the first 2 years of the commission, most of that support has come from the Credit Union League of Kentucky. So you'll see 20 credit unions out there. But we're expanding that. That launched us. That got us off the floor. But they've contributed, they made all of this happen. For me, the solution is improving the financial literacy and financial education of all Kentuckians. And I think it's possible. I really do. One person at a time, I will make a difference. So if you have questions about anything that I've shared, if you see a little area that I might be able to come educate, everything I do is through donations. There are no taxpayer dollars involved. But I do want to come. I'll be happy to speak. I'll be happy to give a workshop. I'll be happy to strategize and collaborate with you. I put my email up there so that you can get in touch with me. If there's any way at all that we can partner, I would love to do that. I know we've already been talking about it right. Yes.
One of the things they say you were able to do is extraordinary expenses with the lifestyle. For instance, I got my property insurance. Was good news and bad news. The value of my property went up, but so did the cost of the insurance because of the replacement value. Right. You know, and if somebody doesn't have any reserves or wasn't looking for something like that,
Right.
and just the other stuff that's hitting people all over the place. That's a no area. How do you deal with that? How do you prepare?
Absolutely. And I think all of us have felt the burden of the economy in one way or another. And even if we are prepared, it still hurts a little and you have to readjust. But if you're already in a situation where you don't know how to make that adjustment, it can be devastating. Statistics show that the average American doesn't have the ability to recover from a $2,000 emergency. That is.
And that's a problem in Fort Myers today.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then insurance companies
Exactly.
may not even make it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right. I want to thank you, Jennifer. That was a great presentation. Our next meeting is October 10th, and it is the Democratic Caucus Leader of the Kentucky State Senate. Thomas Reddy. Anything for the good of the group? No? All right. See you next Monday.
All right.
Hey, guys, I just forget one thing. The reason we don't have any of the government people, Judge Moore, Matt Webster, Senator Schickel, is that from 1 to 3 today at the old Burlington Courthouse, they are doing a ceremony to name a portion of Kentucky 18 after Dr. Floyd Ford. Dr. Ford was a Rotarian.
And that's the